the Justice League may be in for a rude awakening in the near future. Warner Brothers. Warning: there are major spoilers ahead for Justice League. If you head out this weekend to go see Justice League, make sure you stay through the entirety of the film's 119-minute runtime. There are 2 extra scenes after the credits start rolling. The first is a fun extra for comic fans with no real bearing on the future of the DC Extended Universe. It's the second one at the film's very end that you won't want to miss, that teases where the future of the franchise is heading. In case you missed one or both scenes, we have you covered. The first end credit scene: what happens? Is the Flash really the fastest man alive? Warner Brothers. The Flash and Superman are seen outdoors and are getting ready to race to see who the faster superhero is once and for all. As they prepare to take off, they share an exchange over a bet. Flash: I can't tell you how much I appreciate you doing this. Superman: if I win, you're off the team. Bruce said something about you taking us all to brunch. Earlier in the film, Flash told Batman he wasn't a big brunch person when the two first met. Superman asks the Flash which coast they're running toward. He says he's never been to the Pacific coast. They get ready to take off, but the Flash mixes up his directions again and, abashed, asks Supes which direction that may be. The scene ends as the two take off. What it means: the cover of Superman 199. DC Comics. This is just a fun nod to one of the great comic debates of the ages: who's faster, the Flash or Superman? Most argue this should be a no-brainer. Agility and speed is the Flash's main power, while Superman has super strength, can fly, has ice breath, and can shoot lasers out his eyes in addition to outracing a speeding bullet. If you're really curious, there's a good breakdown of different times the two have raced here. Essentially, the Son of Krypton and Scarlet Speedster tied in 2 different races in the 60s. The Flash later outraced Superman in 3 races, though only one of them was a true foot race. Of course, we don't learn in the scene as we see the two race off toward the Pacific coast. Maybe we'll get the answer in the next superhero movie over a team brunch. The second end credit scene: what happens? He's back, just a little balder. Warner Brothers. A buzzer sounds in Arkham Asylum. A guard by the name of Nelson yells out to a prisoner still in his cell, "Come on, Luthor, let's go." When no one comes out of the cell, Nelson walks over to get Lex Luthor. When he turns the man around, he's surprised to find Luthor has been swapped out with a look-alike. The scene then cuts to a man in a boat after dark. He boards a yacht and it's clear we're looking at Deathstroke. He takes off his mask to unveil a grizzly and gray Joe Manganiello. The real Luthor is sitting pretty awaiting his arrival and welcomes Deathstroke. "I was celebrating the return of God," Luthor tells him of Superman's return. He notes how Batman and Wonder Woman have put together a little group of their own and asks Deathstroke, "Shouldn't we have a league of our own?" What it means: somehow, someway, Lex Luthor has broken out of Arkham Asylum after being placed there. At the end of Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, just as Bruce Wayne and Diana Prince brought together a group of superheroes, Luthor is beginning to rally together his own group of supervillains. He looks a bit more sane than the last time we saw him. In the comics, they're known as the Legion of Doom. Membership has included a rotating cast of villains since the group's inception in Super Friends. As seen in the end credits scene, it looks like Luthor's gang is going to start with Deathstroke. Before we get to Deathstroke, here's a quick primer on the supervillain group being assembled. What is the Legion of Doom? Lex Luthor taking the roll call for the Legion of Doom on challenge of the Super Friends. YouTube: the Doom and Gloom Brigade is the villain's answer to the Justice League. Introduced in 1978, the group is filled with various superhero nemesis plucked from Batman's giant rogues gallery. Think the Joker and Bane to Superman's foes like Bizarro and the difficult-to-pronounce Mr. Mxyzptlk. Instead of the Hall of Justice, where Batman and friends reside, the villains hang in the aptly titled Hall of Doom, which is located in the murky Swampwater Slaughter Swamp, which many attribute to be in New Jersey. Jersey. In total, over 50 different versions of DC villains have been members of the group at some point in the comics, live-action shows, animated series, and video games. The first go-around introduced in Super Friends consisted of 13 villains: Bizarro, Black Manta, Brainiac, Captain Cold, Cheetah, Giganta, Gorilla Grodd, Solomon Grundy, Lex Luthor, the Riddler, the Scarecrow, Sinestro, and Toyman. Luthor or Flash villain Gorilla Grodd are usually 2 of the main leaders of the group. Deathstroke isn't usually a main player in the Legion of Doom, so it's a little surprising to see him teaming up with Luthor. So who's Deathstroke? Joe Manganiello shows up as Deathstroke at the end of Justice League. Mike Wendell, Getty Images. DC: if you thought he looked a lot like Will Smith's Deadshot from Suicide Squad or Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool, you're not wrong. Deadpool is actually a giant parody of Deathstroke. Deathstroke himself is just a guy by the name of Slade Wilson who was in the army but who got caught up in an experiment to create super soldiers. The experiment bestowed him with speed and enhanced strength. Wilson is also incredibly smart and he's able to heal himself to an extent. Since then, he's been a mercenary and assassin. If you're a fan of the CW's Arrow, you're probably familiar with the character. In 2016, True Blood star Joe Manganiello was cast as the character for Warner Brothers' standalone Batman movie. Batman will come head-to-head with Deathstroke. DCW Warner Brothers. In the comics, Deathstroke has also been a main member of the Suicide Squad, but because his outfit bears some resemblance to Deadshot, it may have been too confusing to have the two side-by-side in that Warner Brothers movie. His appearance at the end of Justice League actually teases another group that he's usually fighting against. Could we be setting up the Teen Titans, a version of the Teen Titans? Cartoon Network. Deathstroke was first introduced in the Teen Titans comics in 1980, so it wouldn't be outlandish to consider they may come into play at some point. The Titans have a rotating cast, but usually consist of Batman's sidekick Robin, Beast Boy, Starfire, and Cyborg. Of course, Justice League just introduced us to Cyborg, so the idea of meeting the rest of his team isn't too far-fetched. However, the Slade we meet at the end of Justice League is older and definitely looks like he has more in common with the Caped Crusader than some younger heroes. Warner Brothers doesn't have any current plans for a Teen Titans movie. There is a planned live-action TV show in the works for 2018 though.